I pretended like everything was normal and the interview continued after an awkward pause. I did get the job and was admitted as an apprentice. Everyone still calls me Cock. What was the weirdest, most inappropriate or most unexpected thing you were asked during a job interview? First question of an interview: wait, aren't you the guy who owes me that $1,000? Realized after 3 of the longest seconds in my life that he was joking, but boy, that caught me off guard. The real reason I asked you in today is because your last name sounded like you're white. We've had the worst luck with black guys doing the job right. Can you make your breasts smaller? They might be a distraction for some of our patients here. This was at a hospital. And I wasn't wearing anything provocative, I just have big boobs. I didn't get the job, they told me it was because I was too inexperienced. I had a guy end my interview by asking me what my favorite ABBA song was. I was so caught off guard and honestly kind of creeped out, because I couldn't figure out how he knew that I loved ABBA. I found out later that when he spoke to my references, he asked them to tell him something about me that wasn't on my resume, and my old boss told him that I was a huge ABBA fan. Does lie detector during the hiring process count? I was asked if I'd ever had sex with animals. That question certainly caught me off guard. Edit, this was for a job as a sheriff's deputy. Not a job interview per se, but a first meeting of my now mother-in-law. After her asking my name and me replying with, "It's Ryan, nice to meet you," I was then asked, "Is that your big boy name?" What? To this day, almost 8 years later, I, along with my wife, have no idea what she meant by that question. Lovers, an adult toy accessories shop in the US, hands you an elephant-sized, wiggly-ass dildo and asks you to describe it. You giggle, you lose. I lost. What are the chances of you leaving your spouse if we relocate you? You mean, for a period of time until we figure out our living situation? No, I mean, would you divorce him if you had to move to, say, Europe, for the job? Wow. Also, this was a local advertising agency. They didn't even have that many national clients. But also, the interviewer then continuously called and messaged me for days after I declined their offer. So I don't know. Which teacher did you hate the most and why? I answered that I had disagreed with a teacher over a book, I didn't like it and it was her favorite, and she knocked points off all my future tests. Interviewer said it was unprofessional to not like a teacher and I clearly had no interview experience. So yeah, didn't get that internship. Edit, book was Electra. Thought it was stupid that everyone was mad over Agamemnon, who I thought was kind of bad. I had an adversarial interview once. Passed the skills interview and was sent on to the guy who would be my manager if I got the job. He made a big show of throwing my resume in the trash and told me the next best use would be to wipe his ass with it, since he went to Yale and I didn't, and why did I think I deserved the job? I didn't say anything, just got up and walked out. This was at AIG, remember them? Lol. I was the interviewer, and asked the candidate to tell me about a time that they had to have a difficult conversation with someone. His answer: well, my friend's boyfriend was abusing her, so I told him that I would kick his ass if he didn't stop. He didn't stop, so I had to follow through and beat him up. It was hard, but I had to follow through on my commitment to helping my friend. He did not get hired for the job working with children. I was interviewing for a hiring manager position at a temp agency in Toledo, Ohio. The interviewer asked me, how comfortable would I be if a business client only wanted to hire certain types of employees? I probed for more information. After several probing questions, it was apparent that some of the businesses who hired this agency to find talent only wanted people from certain zip codes and wanted to omit certain zip codes altogether. I did not get the job because I stated that I would find and deliver the most qualified candidate regardless of where they lived. No biggie. I am in a much better place now. M61. Late 70s State College. I was looking for a part-time gig while going through school. Dude at a small engineering firm called me in response to my resume and arranged a 7 p.m. interview since I had class till 6. First 20 minutes were fine and fairly standard questions. He then pulls out a few ink blot type sheets of paper and asks, "What do you see?" Nothing struck me, so he folded the paper in half and held it up to the light. The images blended to become a silhouette of a guy on all fours getting boned in the backside by another guy. I knocked the hell out of there and surprisingly did not get hired. Sadly amusing now, as I was far more innocent and didn't appreciate the sketchiness of that situation. I hope the guy wasn't ever successful in conning naive undergraduates to work there after hours with him. My first job was at a big medical center, where I had worked part-time in a related department. I was being hired to work for Gary, and was being interviewed by Gary and his boss Niels as well as several other people. I was invited to a staff meeting just before the interview started. No one introduced me to anyone and must have figured I knew everyone, and so I went through a day talking to all these people not sure who was who. Significantly, I mixed up Gary and Niels since Gary acted like the top man and was very dominating, whereas Niels said hardly anything. Somehow I got hired and worked there for many years. I was a private nanny. I have been asked many questions that wouldn't be considered appropriate in any other job interview. I've been asked how often I shower, whether I have ever been to a therapist, psychiatrist, if I am promiscuous, if I have ever had an affair with an employer, how much I typically eat in a day, do I have a partner, what religion I am, whether I was gay or straight, if I had ever been bribed or had anyone ever attempt to bribe me, whether I had ever taken nude pictures, etc. Not all in the same interview. Would I be okay with going shirtless? Small private casino company that mostly did charity fake money events with prizes like champagne and chocolates. Corporate gigs, etc. I was hired as a blackjack croupier, and that's the job I went for, advertised as above. Corporate events and charity events, dealing blackjack. Must be good with people. If you knew me, that would make your gut bust. The woman interviewing me gave me the job, then asked would I be willing to wear just collars and cuffs like a male stripper. Turns out they also did stag and hen nights and would ask new employees if they'd like to be considered for those shifts. But it requires the women to wear bikinis and men to wear only collars and cuffs, no shirt but wearing dress pants. They paid twice the rate for it. Was not expecting that question. I can be honest. This was quite a while ago, and I was interviewing for a janitorial position at a private middle school. The interview was going well. The interviewer was asking me why I wanted to work there, what my previous job experience was, etc. The bog standard interview questions. Out of absolutely nowhere, he asks, "You're not attracted to underage girls, are you?" I was taken aback for a moment, and just sort of stared at him waiting for clarification. I think it only occurred to him after having said it how weird the question was, and he quickly started to give some context. Turns out the previous janitor had attempted some sexual advances on some underage students. I was just there to sweep the floors for some cash. Not commit a felony. I was asked over the span of about 5 questions if I would let employees steal. What would you do if you saw a customer walk out the door with a product? I would tell the manager and not confront them, the correct answer for almost all retail companies, but not this one apparently. What if it was your store? G-money retailers, and you are the manager? I would try to stop them or call the cops. What if it was an employee trying to steal something really cheap like a $1 water bottle? I wouldn't let them steal, so I'd tell a manager. What if they have been having family troubles and their checks haven't come in, so they have no money but need that water? I would offer to pay for them so they don't feel like they have to steal. What if you left your wallet at home that day? What am I even supposed to say to that? A while back I got out of the Navy. That old saying is true, swear like a sailor. I applied for a program called Helmets to Hard Hats that finds jobs in skilled labor trades for veterans. My father is good friends with a guy who is in charge of the local branch of an elevator company. So I applied to the International Union of Elevator Constructors and was granted an interview. Union interviews, as I am told, usually consist of several prominent members of the union. In this case it included my father's friend. So I show up to the interview and sit down with 5 high-ranking union members. My name is Richard. My dad's friend says, so Richard, what do you like to go by? Rick, Ricky, Richard. Dick. Before I could stop myself I sarcastically replied, it's cock actually. I pretended like everything was normal and the interview continued after an awkward pause. I did get the job and was admitted as an apprentice. Everyone still calls me cock.
Like and subscribe for more funny, interesting, and scary r/ask Reddit videos.